Alright, I know it sounds cliche, but if you are trying to have a natural birth, there are 3 things that you need to be prepared for. And they are literally blood, sweat, and tears. And of course I mean that in the kind of metaphorical sense, which is like how hard you're going to be working and how determined you're going to be. Of course I mean that as well, but also literally you need to be prepared to experience blood, sweat, and tears. So I'm just going to run through each of those so that you understand where it's coming from, why it's happening, and what you can do about it. The first one is blood. It's so obvious to me that blood is involved in birth, but I've come across women who've been surprised by that. And so I don't want you to be surprised by that or, allow that to kind of upset you in your early labor experience. So what I want to tell you is that yes, there is blood involved in labor. It's something called bloody show most of the time. And that bloody show is basically the capillaries in your cervix that are breaking as your cervix is changing. So when you see bloody show when you're in labor, it's a very positive sign. You actually want to be seeing that bloody show. There can be cervical dilation without the bloody show, so you don't always necessarily have to have it, but it's very common, and if you do have it, it's usually a good sign. The second thing is sweat. And this is actually the reason that most women end up totally buck naked by the time that they're in the pushing phase, because labor is incredibly hard work and you are so hot you just want to strip down to nothing. And so expect there to be sweat, like literally sweat dripping from you because you are working so hard. So that's why it's so nice for a partner or a doula or a midwife or an OB or a nurse or someone to have a nice cool cloth there because you are so hot. And then the third thing, which may be probably the most surprise to some women and may actually cause them to think that this means that they want to get an epidural, is tears. There's a couple of times where tears might spring up in your labor and birth. The first one though is usually around, well, sometimes it can happen in your early labor as well if you're just kind of overwhelmed that this is coming, that the experience is happening now. It's also very common for a woman to cry in transition because transition is the height of the labor. It is the most intense, and so it can get a little bit scary and you can start to lose your confidence a little bit. So that's another time where it's normal to have a woman cry, and it doesn't mean that she can't do it. And then of course the third time that you'll most likely experience tears is in and around, meeting your baby for the first time. Like, you may not be in tears meeting your baby, you might be, but you may not, because there's also the aspect of how exhausted you are, and you're just finally done, and so they kind of compete for your attention. But for the partners or for any family and friends that are kind of witnessing this experience, tears galore, because it's an incredibly moving experience to see a baby be born. And so expect the tears, embrace the tears. At no point along that journey are the tears a bad thing. And of course I share this with you not to scare you, but to prepare you. I really think the more information you know, the more you are totally on game day, you are ready to rock. Really, my goal here is to just make sure you have as much knowledge and information as possible gathered up to take into your birth with you. So that's it, you guys. That's what I wanted to share with you about some of the bodily fluids or functions that are very normal and typical to happen in a natural labor and birth. If you like this kind of information and you want to learn more about naturopathic labor preparation, you can sign up for my webinar that's happening this week over at loveyourlabor.com/webinar. If you liked this video, please be sure to actually like it, leave me a comment, tag one of your pregnant mama friends, or share it on your page. I want you to birth boldly and love your labor. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Brown Roots Baby Talk.